In the years since the Queen passed away, I think we've seen the monarchy edging more towards a modern ethos. It really has been a kind of changing of the guard, and the Queen represented the final vestige of that kind of old world monarchy. Charles, on the other hand, is trying very much to push things forward into the future without compromising the traditions and the kind of morals that his mother held so dear. He's slimmed down the senior monarchy in a very major way. He's taken steps to kind of, trim the fat, as it were, where Queen Elizabeth II kind of wavered when it came to people like Prince Harry and Prince Andrew. Prince Charles, or King Charles as he now is known, has really, taken no prisoners. He's cut those people out of the senior royal lineup with immediate effect. And I think that it's had a really great impact as far as proving to the world that the British monarchy is not stuffy, that it has the ability to evolve. And I think he's really paving the way for his son, Prince William, to one day take over and really kind of transform the monarchy once and for all. I think the Queen would be very impressed. I think there was nervousness all around when it came to the idea of Charles taking over the throne, simply because how do you compete with the reputation and the likability of a woman who was as adored as the Queen? And there were fears that Charles, who was widely seen as being much more stuffy, much more snobby than his mother, there were fears that he wasn't going to win the hearts of the British public. But I think he's actually done a really great job of showing a bit more emotion, of being a bit more open to the public. And that speech that he gave after his mother's death was really a signifier of things to come. It wasn't the Charles that we're used to seeing, a bit kind of reserved, a bit held back, a bit uncomfortable in front of the cameras. It was an emotional, honest, and candid version of Charles. And I think he's managed to maintain some of that in the first year of his reign. And that's been really wonderful for people to see. And I think his mother would be very proud of that. The royal family is always going to have the memory of the Queen embedded in it. It would be impossible for anyone to go about any royal business without the Queen's presence there in some way, shape, or form. Because really the Queen created what the monarchy is today and then ruled over it for many years to come. We see the royal family paying tribute to her in a number of different ways. First and foremost, they will talk, albeit occasionally, about the impact that she has had and about how much they want to honor her memory and make her proud. They also pay tribute to her in the way that they go about things. No one's slacked, no one's pulled back. They've maintained all of the causes, all of the charities that were incredibly dear to the Queen's heart. We've seen appearances at Royal Ascot, for example, which we know was one of the Queen's favorite events of the year. And we've really seen the royal family coming together in order to kind of, reignite the excitement about the royal family as a whole. The royals have dealt with a huge amount of scandal and controversy in recent years. The Queen's death was the final kind of devastating blow for the monarchy in what had been a very difficult period. And the kind of remaining royals have really done their best to focus on the Queen's positive legacy and less so on all of the other stuff that kind of swirled around the monarchy during her final years. And I think that's something that they've been really eager to do. They don't want the monarchy and the Queen's legacy to be bogged down in scandal, whether it's Prince Andrew, whether it's Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. What they want to do is remind people that the Queen saw the monarchy as a force for good and that their roles are about service and not about scandal. There have been multiple reports surfacing that a memorial to the Queen will be erected in London. Now, it was actually rumored as far back as 2013 that a statue honoring the Queen would be placed in Trafalgar Square. There is what's known as the fourth plinth in Trafalgar Square, which was said to have been reserved for the Queen many, many years ago. However, that has caused some controversy because many people believe that the Queen deserves her own space, as it were, and that she shouldn't have to share the spotlight with 3 other statues that currently sit in that area. Now, a statue honoring the Queen and her corgis has actually already begun being created. However, it's unclear whether that is the statue that will ultimately end up in London. But I do think that it makes sense for the Queen to have some kind of tribute. And I think that it would be a wonderful way for royal fans, for those who want to honor her memory, to have somewhere to be able to go that isn't one of her palaces, which are currently being occupied by other members of the royal family, but rather a dedicated space where people can show their respect and honor her memory in a really wonderful way.
And do you think there's any chance Prince Harry could go to the UK to commemorate the anniversary of her passing?
Honestly, I don't believe that Harry will. I think that he will choose to honor the Queen privately and behind closed doors. I think Harry is very much aware at this point that whenever he attends any form of royal event back in London, it doesn't really do him much good. Now, we do understand that Charles and Harry are broaching the idea of having peace talks in an attempt to kind of, repair the rift that has been going on for so long now. But I think until some kind of resolution is reached, it doesn't make sense for Harry to be there at these big royal events, particularly not ones that honor the Queen, because Harry's mere presence takes attention and focus away from what that event is really supposed to be about, which is honoring the Queen's memory and her legacy. I absolutely think the Queen would want a reconciliation between Harry and the rest of his family. I think she would be heartbroken that this rift has gone on for so long. However, I also think that the Queen would want to have words with Harry and say, we want you back in the family fold, but you can't keep behaving this way. You can't keep treating your family this way. So steps have to be taken on both sides. And it's reached the stage now where both sides have so much hurt and so much pain that I don't really know if they can ever make their way back to where they once were. But the Queen would certainly want everyone to try. And I think that's a large part of why King Charles is even considering having these peace talks with his son. I think that William and Kate will absolutely do something public in order to honor William's grandmother. I think that they will issue a statement, paying tribute to her and the wonderful things that she did. We may well see them in a public setting. They may well decide, for example, to lay a wreath or something similar. But I think that for the most part, Kate and William will want to be with their children. They may well want to be with Charles. But we do know that Charles is a very private person. After the Queen passed away and he had completed his first royal engagements as the king, he and Camilla, went away for a few days so that he could grieve in private. And I think that the likelihood is he will want to do something similar this time around. So I think the most likely scenario is that the royals come together very briefly, and then they will all retreat to their private residences so that they can honor the Queen behind closed doors without feeling public scrutiny and pressure to act a certain way or behave a certain way.